£1 billion to rebuild dilapidated schools in England and millions more for repairs. But critics say it's a fraction of what's needed.
Air bridges or travel corridors to allow us to go on holiday abroad are set to be confirmed by the government later today.
Good morning. I am at a near-deserted Liverpool airport where they're desperate to learn where we'll be able to fly to and when from. Travel companies have reported a surge in interest over the weekends. But what a holiday is going to look like, and will we definitely be insured?
Should a local lockdown be introduced in Leicester? There's been a spike in coronavirus cases there in the past 2 weeks.
Watford will continue investigations this morning after leaving 3 players out of their team, which lost to Southampton for appearing to break lockdown rules at a house party.
Shall we have a look at the front pages of the newspapers for you this morning? And today's Metro warns that we are on the knife edge of a second Covid-19 wave. That is a warning from a senior scientific advisor to the government. He was talking on the BBC yesterday. It also features this lovely picture of a nurse called Charlotte Cole being reunited with her son George. This is for the first time in 3 months. Look at that hug. She'd been living apart to avoid the risk of passing on coronavirus.
The Daily Mail also has that same picture of Charlotte and George, slightly different angle. Its main story is that NHS patients needing hip and knee replacements will have to wait a year because of new infection controls.
The Guardian leads on the resignation of the UK's most senior civil servant, Mark Sedwill. The paper says his departure is a victory for the Prime Minister's advisor, Dominic Cummings.
And Wales Online focuses on the fact that Welsh schools are reopening today, something we mentioned this morning. It says parents have been left angry and confused by what they call bombshell announcements and mixed messages.
And actually, we'll be talking about, and we're looking at specifically today, what's going on in Welsh schools over the next couple of weeks. Should we look at the inside pages? Apparently, I haven't seen one of these either. A lack of cash means that a third of us haven't seen the new £20 note. If you haven't seen it, this is what... Can you see it? It's probably a little bit little for you. Where are you? Hello. There you are. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, there it is. 37% of us have said we have not used one of the new polymer £20 banknotes. This is according to the Nationwide. The notes feature JMW Turner and were issued by the Bank of England from February 20th. Of course, it was only about a month before lockdown. And this is sort of related as well. We know that last year, we know that contactless has been raised from £30 to £45. And look, big issue sellers are going to return to work this week using... Are you all right?
I've got one £20 note. I'm just going to see what...
Are you going to see? Are using contactless card machines and wearing face coverings and gloves. And there's a picture of one of them prepared there. 2,000 street vendors will return in England, Wales and Scotland from the 6th of July. Have you got one?
Here it is. I've got it. Look.
Just like that.
There's Mr Turner on the back. So if you're one of those...
Have you spent any cash recently?
No, that's been my wallet for...
Since the 21st of February.
For about 4 weeks. There he is. If you've not seen one, that's it. Well, what's the point? I've got 120 in there. There it is.
That's very nice. Lucky you.
Right.
Schools in England are to receive £1 billion of funding over the next 10 years in a programme of major building projects being launched by the Prime Minister today.
That money will be spent on 50 projects, which will start from September in 2021. It's also being announced that there's a further £560 million going towards repairing crumbling schools. This financial year, unions say the money is welcome, but is a fraction of what is needed.
Wales is reopening all of its schools from today for the first time since the lockdown restrictions came into force in March. Pupils will be able to return for limited periods during the week, but only a third will be allowed into school at any time. New measures will also be put in place to stop the spread of the coronavirus.
From today, high street shops in Scotland will be able to open their doors for the first time in 3 months. This only applies to those with street access, and shoppers will still be encouraged to maintain social distancing and cover their faces. The housing market will also reopen, and Scottish Premiership football clubs can resume contact training.
The number of mobile Covid-19 testing units in the UK will more than double over the coming weeks, with the military staffing many facilities. An extra 1,700 armed forces personnel and 140 vehicles are going to be used to set up the mobile units, which increase access to tests in more remote areas. Swabs are collected on site and then taken to one of 3 mega labs to be processed.